The mirror showed Sophia Torres everything she feared about herself. 26 years old, wearing a borrowed emerald dress that hung slightly loose at the shoulders. Her reflection trembled as she applied drugstore lipstick with unsteady fingers. 4 years of scrubbing marble floors in James Whitfield's mansion had taught her to be invisible. She knew the rhythm of his footsteps on the grand staircase, the scent of his cologne lingering in hallways she'd polish until dawn. He never looked at her. Not really. Just polite nods and distant thank yous that never reached his eyes. Tonight was supposed to be different. Ryan's messages had promised her something she'd stopped believing in. Connection. Being chosen. The Golden Rose restaurant glowed like a stage set. All warm light and crystal and people who belonged there. Sophia didn't belong. She knew it the moment she stepped through those heavy doors with $8 in her purse and hope dying in her chest. The table by the window mocked her. White linen, silver gleaming under soft light, a single rose in crystal. She sat carefully, remembering Carmen's frantic etiquette lessons, feeling other diners' eyes crawling over her borrowed dress. 8 o'clock became 8:30. Her phone stayed silent except for her own desperate checking. The waiter's smile grew thinner each time he asked if she was ready to order. Then her phone buzzed. "Sorry, but I don't think this will work out. You're not really what I'm looking for. Good luck." The words blurred as tears came hot and fast. Sophia stood, grabbing her purse, needing to escape before she shattered completely in front of these strangers who'd watched her wait and wait and wait. "Sophia." The voice stopped her cold, deep, familiar, impossible. She looked up into James Whitfield's face, and something in his dark eyes wasn't distant anymore. It was raw, present, seeing her. "May I sit down?" he asked, and his voice cracked on the last word like he was the one breaking. "I was just leaving," she whispered, shame burning through her veins. "Please don't, not yet. Not like this." He sat before she could refuse. For the first time in 4 years, James Whitfield looked at Sophia Torres like she was real. "I saw what happened," he said quietly. "Someone stood you up." The humiliation nearly choked her. "Yes, I suppose I was foolish to think tonight would be different." "Different from what?" "From every other time." Her voice cracked. "I'm not the kind of woman men choose, Mr. Whitfield. I'm the kind they overlook." Something fierce crossed his face. "You're wrong, and the man who stood you up tonight is a fool." She searched his expression for pity, found something else instead, something that made her forget to breathe. "Why are you here?" she asked. "Why did you come to my table?" James opened his mouth, closed it, then said the words that would change everything. "Because for 4 years I've been blind, and tonight I finally saw you." James ordered wine without asking her preference. Expensive. Red. The kind that probably cost more than her monthly rent. Sophia watched him pour, still unable to process that her employer was sitting across from her in a restaurant where she'd just been humiliated. "You don't have to do this," she said. "I know you feel sorry for me." "Is that what you think this is?" His jaw tightened. "Pity!" What else could it be? James leaned forward, and the candlelight caught shadows under his eyes she'd never noticed before. "Do you know how many times I've walked past you in that house? How many mornings I've heard you singing softly while you cleaned the library?" Heat rushed to her face. She hadn't known he could hear her. "I told myself you were just part of the background," he continued, voice low and rough. "Easier that way. Safer. But tonight, seeing you in that dress, seeing someone hurt you..." He stopped. Started again. "I realized I've been lying to myself. Mr. Whitfield. James. Please. Just James." The intimacy of his first name felt dangerous on her tongue. "James, you don't know me. Then let me." 3 words. Simple. Impossible. Sophia felt the ground shifting beneath her. They talked until the restaurant began closing. He told her about his father's impossible standards, the pressure that had crushed every relationship he'd ever attempted. She told him about her mother's illness, the medical bills that kept her working 3 jobs before landing the position at his estate. "I've been alone in that mansion for 5 years, James admitted, twisting his wine glass. "Surrounded by everything money can buy. And I've never felt more empty. That's why you work so much." Sophia said softly. So you don't have to feel it. His eyes met hers, startled. Yes. When he drove her home, she expected him to drop her at the curb. Instead, he walked her to her apartment door in the shabby building she'd tried to hide from him. This is where I live, she said, defensive. It's not much. It's honest, James replied. More than I can say about my life. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. His fingers brushed her cheek, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. The touch sent electricity through her entire body. Can I see you again? He whispered. Not as your employer, as someone who wants to know everything about you. Sophia's heart hammered. This is crazy. You're my boss. If anyone finds out, I don't care. You should. She stepped back, breaking contact. People like me don't end up with people like you. Not in real life. Pain flashed across his face. What if I'm willing to risk everything to prove you wrong? Before she could answer, her phone rang. Carmen. Sophia answered to frantic words tumbling through the speaker. Sophia, thank God your mom collapsed. They've taken her to the hospital. It's her heart. You need to come now. The world tilted. James caught her elbow as her knees buckled. What happened? He demanded. My mother. I have to go to San Diego, now. Panic clawed at her throat. I don't have money for gas. I'm driving you, James said, already pulling out his keys. Don't argue. They were in his car within minutes, speeding down the highway in darkness. Sophia stared at her hands, trying not to fall apart. She's all I have, she whispered. If something happens to her, nothing will happen, James said firmly. We'll get there in time. You don't know that. No, but I know I'm not letting you face this alone. 3 hours later, they burst through hospital doors. The doctor met them with grim eyes. Miss Torres? Your mother needs emergency surgery. Her heart valve is failing. Without the procedure, she has maybe 48 hours. Do it, Sophia said immediately. Whatever it costs, just save her. The doctor's expression shifted. The surgery is $300,000. Without insurance or payment guarantee, I'm afraid. I'll cover it, James interrupted. All of it. Start the surgery now. Sophia turned to him, shocked. James, no. I can't let you. You're not letting me. I'm choosing this. His eyes burned into hers. Some things matter more than money. The doctor left to prep the operating room. Sophia stood frozen, overwhelmed. Why would you do this? She breathed. You barely know me. James stepped closer, his voice dropping to something raw and desperate. Because in one night, you've made me feel more alive than I have in years. Because when I saw you crying in that restaurant, something inside me broke open. Because I'm terrified of losing this, whatever this is between us. He cupped her face in both hands. Let me be here for you, he whispered. Let me be someone who matters to you. Sophia's tears finally spilled over. You already do. That's what scares me. He kissed her then, soft and fierce and full of promise. When they broke apart, both were shaking. Miss Torres? A nurse appeared. Your mother's asking for you before surgery. Sophia squeezed James's hand once before following the nurse. In the pre-op room, her mother lay pale against white sheets, tubes running from her arms. Mija, her mother whispered. Who is that man? Someone who's helping us, Mama. Her mother's eyes sharpened despite her weakness. Be careful, Sophia. Men like that, they don't give without expecting something back. The words lodged in Sophia's chest like ice. What did James Whitfield really want from her? The surgery took 11 hours. James never left. He sat beside Sophia in the waiting room, bringing her coffee she couldn't drink, holding her hand through every tremor of fear. When the doctor finally emerged with news of success, Sophia collapsed against James's chest and sobbed. She's going to make it, the doctor said. She'll need months of recovery, but she'll live. James stroked Sophia's hair, feeling something shift permanently inside him. This woman, this brave, beautiful woman who'd been invisible to him for 4 years, had somehow become the center of his entire world in a single night. 3 weeks later, everything changed. Sophia's mother was healing slowly in a rehabilitation facility James had arranged. He'd moved Sophia into the guest house on his estate so she could be close while working. They'd fallen into a routine that felt both natural and terrifying. Morning coffee together, stolen kisses in hallways, conversations that stretched until dawn, but they hadn't told anyone. Not the other staff, not his business associates. Their relationship existed in shadows, and Sophia was beginning to realize shadows had sharp edges. "Come to the charity gala with me Friday," James said one morning, catching her in the library. "I want everyone to see us together." Fear spiked through her. "James, I'm your housekeeper. People will... I don't care what they'll say. But I do." She pulled away from his embrace. "You live in a different world than me. Your friends, your business partners, they'll destroy me. And you? Then I'll cut them all off," he said fiercely. "Sophia, I'm falling in love with you. Don't you feel this too?" She did. God help her, she did. But love didn't pay bills or protect her mother, or survive in the real world where class and money built walls higher than any mansion. "I need time," she whispered, "to figure out if this is real, or if I'm just another charity case you're trying to save." Hurt flashed across his face. "Is that what you think?" "I don't know what to think anymore." That afternoon, everything shattered. Sophia was cleaning the main office when she found the documents. Estate planning papers, scattered across James's desk. Her eyes caught her own name on one page. She knew she shouldn't look, knew it was private, but her hands moved anyway. Beneficiary designation, Sophia Maria Torres. Amount, $500,000. Contingent, upon continued employment and discretion regarding personal relationship with estate owner. The paper fell from her hands like it was burning. $500,000. Contingent upon discretion, upon silence. Her mother's warning echoed in her skull. Men like that don't give without expecting something back. The office door opened. James walked in, saw her face, saw the papers scattered at her feet. "Sophia, you're paying me?" Her voice came out strangled. "This whole time you've been paying me to keep quiet about us?" "No, God, no. You don't understand." "Then explain it to me." Fury and betrayal burned through her chest. "Explain why there's a contract with my name on it that treats me like a transaction." James ran his hands through his hair, looking desperate. "My lawyer drew those up weeks ago before we even started. It was standard protection for the estate. I never filed them. I was going to tear them up." "But you didn't," Sophia said coldly. "You kept them. Just in case. That's not fair." "Fair?" She laughed bitterly. "Nothing about this is fair. I'm a housekeeper who fell for her billionaire boss. I'm the oldest story in the book, and I'm the fool who thought it was different." "It is different," James said, voice cracking. "What we have is real, is it? Or am I just convenient? Available? Someone who makes you feel noble for slumming it with the help?" The words hung between them like poison. "How dare you?" James breathed. "After everything I've done, everything I've given? Sophia's voice rose. "You mean bought? You bought my mother's surgery. You bought me this guest house. You were planning to buy my silence. What part of this is actually about loving me?" James's face went white. "If you think any of that was about control, you don't know me at all." "You're right. I don't. I know the man who signs my paycheck. I don't know the man who kisses me in the dark." She turned to leave. James caught her wrist. "Don't walk away from this," he said. And she heard the fear underneath his anger. "Please, Sophia. Let me explain everything," she pulled free. "Explain what? That I'm a project? A phase? Something to make you feel less empty in your mansion full of nothing? That's not true. Then what is true, James? Because right now, all I see is a man who thinks money can solve everything, even loneliness." His jaw clenched. "You want to know the truth? Fine. Yes, my lawyer drew up those papers. Yes, I considered protecting myself legally, because every woman I've ever known has wanted something from me. My money, my connections, my name. And for one moment, one terrible moment, I wondered if you were the same." Sophia felt the words like a slap. "But I was wrong," James continued, voice breaking. "You're nothing like them. You never asked me for anything. You never wanted anything but to be seen. And I saw you, Sophia. I finally saw you. And it terrified me because I realized I'd found the one person who could actually break my heart." Tears blurred her vision. "You should have trusted me. I know. I'm sorry. Sorry isn't enough." She walked out of the office, out of the guest house, out of the estate. James didn't follow. Maybe he knew she needed space. Maybe he knew some breaks couldn't be fixed with money or apologies, or desperate declarations of love. Sophia made it halfway down the long driveway before her phone rang. "Carmen, you need to come to the hospital," Carmen said, voice shaking. "It's your mother." "Something's wrong with her heart again. The doctors are saying the surgery didn't hold. She needs another procedure, but what? They're saying James Whitfield called and revoked payment authorization. Without his guarantee, they won't operate. Sophia, she has maybe 12 hours. The world stopped spinning." "He wouldn't do that," Sophia whispered. He wouldn't, but even as she said it, doubt crept in. She'd just accused him of buying her silence, thrown his generosity back in his face. What if this was his revenge? What if she'd been right all along about men like him? Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Want to know who your boyfriend really is? Meet me at Rosewood Cafe in an hour. You deserve to know the truth about James Whitfield." Sophia stared at the message, her world crumbling around her. What had she done? The woman waiting at Rosewood Cafe wore designer clothes and cruel confidence. Sophia recognized her from photos in James's mansion. Victoria Ashford, his ex-fiancée. "Thank you for coming," Victoria said, gesturing to the empty chair. "I wasn't sure you would." "You said you had information about James." Sophia stayed standing. "Talk," Victoria smiled. "Direct, I like that. Though I can't imagine what James sees in you. You're so different from his usual type. Get to the point." "The point is you're being used." Victoria sipped her espresso. "James does this. Finds someone broken, someone desperate, and plays the hero. Makes grand gestures. Throws money around. It makes him feel powerful, needed. And when he gets bored, he moves on to the next charity case." Sophia's hands clenched. "You're lying. Am I? Tell me, did he sweep in to save your mother? Pay for her surgery without hesitation? Make you feel like you were special? Like he saw something in you no one else did?" Each word was a knife finding its mark. "He loves me," Sophia said, but her voice wavered. "He loved me too, for about 6 months. Then I made the mistake of needing him too much, of depending on his money." Victoria leaned forward. "That's when he cut me off. Revoked everything. Left me with nothing. Just like he's doing to your mother right now." "He wouldn't he? You walked away from him, Sophia. James Whitfield doesn't handle rejection well. If he can't control you with kindness, he'll control you with fear." Sophia's phone buzzed. A text from the hospital. "Your mother's condition is critical. Please come immediately." "Make your choice," Victoria said softly. "Your pride or your mother's life. Go back to him, apologize, play the grateful little housekeeper, or watch your mother die, knowing you could have prevented it." Sophia ran. She burst into the hospital to find doctors surrounding her mother's bed, machines beeping frantically. Carmen grabbed her arm. "They won't operate without payment authorization," Carmen sobbed. "I've been calling James, but he won't answer." "Get me his lawyer," Sophia demanded. "Now." 10 minutes later, she had Malcolm Pierce on the phone. James's personal attorney, the man who'd drawn up those contracts. "Miss Torres," Malcolm said carefully, "I can't discuss Mr. Whitfield's private financial decisions. My mother is dying because James revoked payment. I need to know why." A pause. Then, "Miss Torres, Mr. Whitfield hasn't revoked anything." Sophia's world tilted. "What?" "He called this morning to authorize additional funding for your mother's care. Unlimited funds, actually. Whatever she needs. I have the signed documents right here." "Then why are the doctors saying—" "I don't know, but it's not coming from our office." Sophia's mind raced. Victoria. It had been Victoria all along. She ran back to her mother's room, demanded to speak to the head administrator. Within minutes, the truth emerged. Someone had called claiming to be James Whitfield's office, instructing the hospital to withhold treatment. A woman's voice. "Operate on my mother," Sophia said. "Now, I'll have Mr. Whitfield confirm payment directly." She called James. It went to voicemail. Called again. And again. Finally, a text came through at the airport. "Leaving for Tokyo. Need to clear my head. Your mother's care is fully covered. Always was. Always will be. I'm sorry I wasn't enough for you." Sophia's hands shook as she read the words. He thought she didn't want him. He thought she'd chosen to leave. She called Carmen. I need you to find out what flight James is on. Now." 20 minutes later, Sophia was speeding toward LAX, her heart hammering against her ribs. She'd been so wrong. About everything. Victoria had manipulated her perfectly, used her insecurities, her fears, her wounded pride against her, and Sophia had let her. She made it to the international terminal with minutes to spare. Security wouldn't let her through without a ticket. She bought the cheapest flight she could find to anywhere, maxed out her credit card, and ran. She found James at the gate. He was sitting alone, staring at nothing, looking more broken than she'd ever seen him. "James." He looked up. Shock crossed his face. Then guarded pain. "What are you doing here?" he asked quietly. "Stopping you from leaving." She dropped into the seat beside him, breathless. "I was wrong. About everything. Victoria came to me, told me you'd revoked payment for my mother. She played on every fear I had, and I believed her." James closed his eyes. "Victoria. She wanted me gone. Wanted to prove I was just another woman using you for money." Sophia grabbed his hand. "But she was wrong too. I don't care about your money, James. I never did." "Then why did you leave?" His voice cracked. "Why did those papers make you think the worst of me?" "Because I've been poor my whole life," Sophia said, tears streaming down her face. "Because men like you don't fall for women like me without an agenda. Because I was terrified that if I let myself believe this was real, I'd lose everything when you realized I wasn't worth it." James turned to face her fully. "You think you're not worth it? I know I'm not. I'm a housekeeper with $8 in her purse and a dying mother. What do I have to offer someone like you?" "Everything," James said fiercely. "You offer me everything. You see past the money and the mansion and the empty success. You see me, Sophia, the real me, the one who's been lonely for so long." He forgot what it felt like to actually feel something. He cupped her face in his hands. "I don't want a perfect woman who fits into my world," he whispered. "I want you. Messy, scared, brave, beautiful you. The woman who sings while she cleans. The woman who would sacrifice anything for her mother. The woman who called me on my walls and made me want to be better. James, I love you," he said. "Not the idea of you. Not some project or charity case. You. And if you can't believe that, if you can't trust that, then I'll spend the rest of my life proving it to you." Sophia kissed him then, deep and desperate and real. Around them, people stared. She didn't care. When they broke apart, both were shaking. "I love you too," she breathed. "I'm sorry I ran. Sorry I didn't trust you." "We both have scars," James said. "We both have reasons not to trust. But I'm willing to risk everything on you, Sophia Torres. Are you willing to risk it on me?" She nodded, unable to speak. James stood, pulled her up with him. "Then let's go home. Together." They made it halfway across the terminal before James's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and his face went white. "What?" Sophia asked. "It's Malcolm. Victoria just filed a lawsuit." His voice was hollow. "She's claiming I embezzled funds from our joint investments during our engagement. She has evidence, documents. If this goes to court, it could destroy everything. My business, my reputation, my freedom." Sophia felt ice flood her veins. "Is it true?" James met her eyes. "No, but the documents are real. Someone forged them. Someone who knew every detail of my finances. Who? I don't know. But Victoria didn't do this alone." His jaw clenched. "Someone inside my organization is helping her. Someone I trust." Sophia's phone buzzed. A photo from an unknown number. It showed James's head of security, Richard, shaking hands with Victoria outside a law office. The betrayal cut deeper than anything that had come before. Richard had been James's right hand for a decade. He knew everything. Every password, every account, every secret. "We need to go," Sophia said urgently. "Now. If Richard is working with Victoria, he has access to your house, your files, everything." They ran. They reached the mansion at midnight. Every light was off. Wrong. The security system that should have been armed was disabled. "Stay in the car," James said. Not a chance. They entered together, silent and tense. The office door stood open. Inside, Richard sat at James's desk, Victoria beside him, going through files with cold efficiency. "Hello, James," Richard said without looking up. Didn't expect you back so soon. 10 years, James said quietly. I trusted you for 10 years. Richard finally met his eyes. You paid me for 10 years. There's a difference. Why? Because you had everything handed to you, Richard said, real bitterness in his voice. Mansion business, money you didn't earn, while people like me scraped by on salary, watching you throw millions around like it meant nothing. So you decided to take it, Sophia said. Victoria stood, smiling. Not just take, destroy. James needs to learn what it feels like to lose everything. His business, his reputation, his freedom, just like he destroyed me. I broke up with you, James said. That's not destruction. You humiliated me, made me look like a gold digger, turned our entire social circle against me. Victoria's smile turned vicious. Now it's your turn. She held up a flash drive. This has everything. Forged documents showing you embezzled from 12 different investors. When the FBI sees this, you'll spend the next 20 years in prison. Unless, James asked, unless you sign over controlling interest in Whitfield Industries to me and pay me $50 million. Victoria's eyes gleamed. Consider it the cost of your freedom. Sophia watched James's face, saw the calculation, the weighing of options. Everything he'd built versus everything he could lose. No, James said. Victoria blinked. Excuse me? I won't give you anything. Do your worst, James, Richard warned. This will ruin you. Maybe, but I'm done letting fear control my choices. James reached for Sophia's hand. I spent years building walls around myself, protecting what I owned instead of caring about who I loved. I'm done with that life. You're being stupid, Victoria hissed. Maybe, but I'd rather be broke and free with the woman I love than wealthy and imprisoned by people like you. Richard stood, pulling a gun from his jacket. Sophia's breath caught. It doesn't work that way, Richard said. You sign the papers or I make this look like a robbery gone wrong. Either way, we get what we want. The world narrowed to that gun. That choice, that moment. Sophia stepped in front of James. If you want him, she said clearly, you go through me first. Sophia, no. James grabbed her shoulders. Don't, I'm not losing you, she said fiercely. Not after everything. If I have to stand between you and a bullet, I will. How touching, Victoria said. The housekeeper playing hero. She's not a housekeeper, James said, voice breaking. She's the bravest person I've ever met. Richard's hand tightened on the gun. For a moment, Sophia thought he might actually shoot. Then Malcolm Pierce walked through the door, flanked by 3 FBI agents. Richard Torres, an agent said. You're under arrest for embezzlement, forgery, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Richard's face went white. How did you... I called Malcolm from the airport, James said. Told him to contact the FBI. They've been monitoring your communications with Victoria for the past 3 hours. Victoria lunged for the door. An agent caught her. You set us up, she spat at James. No, I gave you rope. You hanged yourselves. As they were led away in handcuffs, Richard looked back at James. You're still going to lose everything. Those documents are real enough to raise questions. Investors will pull out. Your reputation will take years to rebuild. Maybe, James said, but I'll still have more than you ever did. When the police left, silence filled the mansion. James sank into his desk chair, looking exhausted and shaken and relieved all at once. It's really over, he said. The worst of it, yes. Malcolm collected the papers scattered across the desk. But Richard was right about one thing. This will hurt your business. Some investors will leave. The media will have a field day. It's going to be ugly. How ugly? Sophia asked. Malcolm hesitated. James might lose up to 40% of his net worth by the time this settles. The mansion alone costs millions annually to maintain. He'll likely have to downsize significantly. Sophia looked at James. Would you really give all this up? For you? James stood, crossed to her, took her hands in his. Yes, absolutely yes. This mansion, this life, it's all just things. They don't matter. You matter, but I was serious before, he said. I'm done building walls. Done protecting money instead of people. If I have to sell everything, move into an apartment, Start over from nothing. I'll do it. As long as you're with me, tears blurred Sophia's vision. You'd really walk away from all of this? I'd walk away from everything except you. She kissed him then, soft and sweet and full of promise. When they pulled apart, both were smiling through tears. What if we didn't have to? Malcolm said quietly. They turned to him. I've been reviewing the actual financials. James, you're more solvent than you think. Yes, you'll take a hit. But if you're willing to simplify, to cut unnecessary expenses, to actually live within your means instead of maintaining this massive estate. Malcolm smiled. You could have a very comfortable life. Not billionaire level, but upper middle class. You could both work, build something together that's yours. Work doing what? James asked. What you've always wanted to do but never had time for, Malcolm said. Open that community center you talked about. Help people. Actually use your business degree for something that matters. Sophia watched hope dawn on James's face. And you? James turned to her. What do you want to do? I want to finish my nursing degree, Sophia said. Help people like my mother who can't afford decent health care. Make a difference. Then let's do it. James squeezed her hands. Let's build a life that's real. No walls, no pretending, no hiding. Just us, working together, loving each other, figuring it out as we go. Even when it's hard? Especially when it's hard. 6 months later, Sophia stood in the community center James had opened in a working-class neighborhood. The space was simple, clean, full of light and hope. Kids' laughter echoed through the gym. Adults attended job training classes in converted offices. James found her in the medical clinic they'd set up, where Sophia now worked 3 days a week while finishing her degree. Your mother's here, he said. She wants to show you something. In the main hall, Sophia's mother stood beside a wall of photographs. New additions, pictures of families helped by the center, lives changed, hope restored. You did this, Mija, her mother said, eyes bright. You and James together. You took something broken and made it beautiful. Sophia felt James's arm wrap around her waist, felt his lips brush her temple. They'd sold the mansion, moved into a modest house they could actually fill with warmth instead of emptiness. James worked 60 hours a week at the center, making a fraction of what he used to earn, and smiled more than Sophia had ever seen him smile. She wore a simple silver band on her left hand now. They'd gotten married at City Hall with Carmen and Malcolm as witnesses. No fancy wedding, no social media announcements, just 2 people promising to choose each other every day no matter what. Regret anything? She asked James quietly. He turned her to face him, hands framing her face the way he had that first night at the Golden Rose. Only that it took me 4 years to see you, he said. Everything else? Every sacrifice, every change, every hard moment. Worth it, all of it, because I'm with you. Even though we're not rich anymore? We are rich, James said firmly. We have each other. We have purpose. We have love that's real, not transactional. That's the only wealth that matters. Sophia kissed him there in the community center they'd built from ashes and hope and love that had survived betrayal and fear and doubt. Outside, the city hummed with life. People passed by who would never know their story, who would never know the housekeeper and the billionaire who'd found each other in the ruins of both their lives and built something neither money nor pride could buy. Love, real, messy, complicated, beautiful love, and that, Sophia thought as James pulled her closer, was worth more than any mansion, any fortune, any fairy tale ending. Because this wasn't a fairy tale. This was real, and real was better. The end.